All right, so there's guys out there who say, oh, I'm going to learn Python. Also, I'm going to learn AWS. Also, I'm going to learn Java. Also, I'm going to learn Docker. And they may even start projects with these technologies, but as soon as those projects get hard, they stop doing them. And they're looking around at their life and they're feeling borderline pathetic and disgusted because they took a chance on this coding pivot and their only goal was to get hired as soon as possible. Yet they have nothing so far to show for it, right? Absolutely nothing. And if they continue with this half-assed focus, I believe that, they're not really going to get too far. Whereas there's other guys out there who look at the objective trends. They see what's in demand. They focus on that and they get paid. I'm going to talk about what I think is the difference here and how we can be in the latter group. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So I remember clearly when I first pivoted into computer science. It seemed like every single day I had a new game plan for how I was going to get hired as soon as possible. So Monday I'd be like, oh, I'm going to learn Python because I've heard Python's super in demand. Then I'm going to get hired. Tuesday I'd be like, oh, actually I've heard cybersecurity is in demand. So I'm going to get a security certification. Then I'll get hired. Wednesday I'd be like, oh no, I've heard AWS is in demand. So I'm going to learn AWS and get hired. Thursday I'd be like, oh, actually no, I'm going to learn Java. I've heard Java's in demand, right? And I was constantly focused on this breadth rather than having depth in anything. And there's two main points I'm trying to make here. One, if your goal is similar to mine, or rather what my goal was back in the day, which was just to get hired as soon as possible, why wouldn't you just look at the objective trends, see what's most in demand, and focus on that, right? And from what I've seen with my industry experience, but also through information online, JavaScript is what's most in demand. JavaScript is what runs the web. And let's be honest, like how often do you use web applications on a daily basis? Like probably a whole lot, right? Just like me, just like everyone else. And JavaScript is the king of web applications. If we look at the Stack Overflow developer survey, for example, for the past 10 years, 10 plus years, because I think the trend will continue into 2023. Last the survey results came out in 2022. For the past 10 years, JavaScript has been the number one language that developers have reported using on that survey, right? And if you look at like job postings online, what are a lot of those postings for? Usually web developers, right? So again, look at the objective trends. According to the objective trends, I think there's a lot more opportunity to get your foot in the door with JavaScript rather than Python. Now, the second point I'm trying to make here is, in my opinion at least, breadth is a form of procrastination, right? Look, my background is I failed high school. I didn't even graduate high school on time. I failed a college course, or rather I failed a few high school courses, didn't graduate on time. I failed a college course, and I was a super, super average college student, right? So when I pivoted into computer science, I felt it was like this degree for smart people, right? It's like a smart people degree. Oh, and then all these thoughts were going on in my head. Am I smart enough to do this? Am I good enough to do this? Will I even be able to do this, right? And with all that mental stress already going on, the mental burden that comes with doing a hard coding project, I didn't want to take that on, right? So I'd be focusing on like breadth. I do this little thing for a while. As soon as it got hard, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. And then focus on this other technology. As soon as it got hard, oh, I don't want to do that anymore, right? So I think if you do that, you won't make the best progress. So again, focus on the thing that's in demand. I say JavaScript, but you can make your own decision. Focus on that, work hard at it, and I think you'd be surprised at how quickly your results start to skyrocket. And I think part of the problem here is those videos and articles online. It's like, oh, top 5 programming languages you need to learn. Oh, top 10 technologies you need to learn. It's like, no, take that thought, throw it out the window, right? Or it's going to be videos or articles, right? You need to know this technology before you get hired. This is like 20 things you absolutely must know. Like, take that thought, throw it out the window as well, right? Look, these people are putting these unrealistic standards on us as to what it takes to enter the industry, right? It's not exactly rocket science here. We can take a look at the basics because the basics truly haven't changed in a long time. Look, new frameworks and such things come out all the time. Fine, I'm not denying that. But if we focus on like front-end development, for example, the basics have been HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And those have been the basics for a long, long time. So instead of just trying to focus on whatever new framework or technology or like these 10 things you need to learn, just learn the basics. The basics are there for a reason. They're going to build your foundation, and that foundation will help you get your foot in the door, right? And if you don't know the basics, right? Like let's assume you're like learning all these technologies that these things these articles are talking about, and let's assume you're even good at them, right? That alone is going to take a long time because it takes a while to get good at like 10 technologies. But if you don't know the basics, why would a company even care about the rest, right? Because again, you're missing the foundation. It's like you have the structure of a house, but you don't have the foundation. Like, who wants to buy that house? Do you get what I'm saying? So focus on the basics, right? And I think you'll be surprised at the progress you make. All right. Now, there's one more thing I want to say before I end this video, and that is be kind to yourself throughout this process and trust the process. Look, I when I pivoted into computer science, I was banging my head against the wall, left, right, and center, kind of learning these things that I'm sharing now over here. So I think with the knowledge that I have now, I think I could have gotten hired in half the time that it took me. But secondly, like for most of that time, it was about 2 years, my journey. I started my computer science degree in December 2019. I got my job offer around August of 2021, right? And again, for most of that time, I was earning like close to minimum wage. Like, 1 year in, I got my first internship, and that only paid me a little above minimum wage. And I worked my tail off at it. And then once I did well in that internship, I was able to leverage that experience into a full-time job offer, and that job offer was for over 6 figures. But again, I got there in August, so December 2019 to August 2021. This whole period in between, I was either making no money or just above minimum wage. But I kept grinding, kept trusting the process. And that's what paid off, right? And look, we're in a bit of a tech downturn right now. There's no denying that. But this is where, at least in my opinion, this is where the people who were just following the hype of like the articles and the videos and everything online, this is where those people will be out of the running, so to speak. Because tech will go up again. I mean, I feel like you don't really need to look very far to see that. We're only using tech more on a daily basis, not less. So these people who are just easily influenced by like these videos and articles they see online, they're gonna fall out of the race, and that's a good thing for you and me. You know why? Because when tech goes back up again, we're gonna be the ones who will be eating because we've been working this whole time. We're gonna have all these skills, and we're gonna be making even more money. Whereas when tech goes back up again, these people went out of the running. They're gonna be like, running real fast, trying to get back in. But they're gonna have a whole lot of game of catch up to play. But not you and me, right? And I think the perfect example of this is the Meta stock. Remember when Meta, like not even 6 months ago, maybe Meta was at like $90 a share, and I knew they would go back up. Because you just need to look at Meta. I mean, they own WhatsApp, they own Instagram, obviously they own the Facebook platform. They make a ridiculous amount of money from that, and they haven't even monetized it all. So if you looked at the nitty gritty, their financials and everything, if you knew all that, you knew this company was going back up. But what's the image that the news articles and the videos online made it seem like? Oh, Meta is over. Oh, Meta is finally gone for good. Oh, Meta, all these things. And what happened? Meta came back up. And all of us who were looking at the objective stats knew that. And I think a similar thing is happening with tech right now, where those who are just kind of, following the consensus of these clickbaity articles, they're kind of backing up. This is our turn to level up, increase our skills. And when tech inevitably goes back up, we'll be the ones making the good money. Now, I just want you to imagine for a second. Imagine that you take this advice, you run with it, and now you have a remote job that you actually enjoy. Because I used to, before when I was, before pivoting to computer science, I was commuting like an hour, 30 minutes to a customer service job that I didn't even like, just to get yelled at by people, and then commuting an hour, 30 minutes back. And now I make good money at a remote job where my commute is literally from the bed to my home office. Imagine that you have money for dates, because back then I didn't even have money to like go out on a date. Like I had to, borrow that from my parents. So imagine that you have money now to go out on dates. to travel, to support your family, and also like do something that you always wanted. Like I always wanted a car, and I was able to get a new car, right? Before that, I always had like, hand me down Toyota Corollas and stuff, super old ones. Imagine that you're working a job you actually enjoy and you have a good work life balance, right? Imagine that. And that's the path you're on, all right? Keep working hard. I believe in you, but frankly, what I believe doesn't matter. What you believe matters. So I hope you believe in yourself too. And that's all I have for this video. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Ultimately, I want this to be our positive little community where we help each other, support each other, and help each other get to that next level in life. So please come join the community. I'll leave my Instagram, TikTok somewhere here. Please do support there as well. Please do like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Peace.